Good morning, Dan and Amy. The source of more anti-Trump agitprop, Hollywood or the FBI? Jim Jordan, congressman from Ohio, on with Martha McCallum yesterday, saying that upon closer review of those text messages between Peter Strzok and his mistress, Lisa Page.
I like to call him Ms. Lava.
Yes, okay. The FBI was actively planning in a systemic way, said Jordan, to plan stories in the Wall Street Journal and other places to trigger an investigation that would drag on and eventually, they hoped, bring down the Trump presidency.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not biased behavior.
Now you maybe can start to understand the interest and the repeated efforts that Jim Jordan and Oversight Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy and Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes and others are taking to try and level up the importance and scrutiny of bias and conflicts of interest at FBI and DOJ. Institutions that they, I think, rightly believe the American people would like to have faith in, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to have that faith.
I mean, haven't you lost confidence in the FBI?
I certainly have, at least at the leadership level.
Yeah.
And the leadership level matters. For more on this topic and a few others, including the Oprah Dr. Phil ticket in 2020, we're pleased to be joined by Andrew Klavan, famed Hollywood screenwriter, essayist, author of the book, which I highly recommend, as I always do. It's a very, very good read. The Great Good Thing, A Secular Jew Comes to Faith in Christ. Andrew, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. It's nice to be here.
So what about, the FBI versus Hollywood when it comes to producing propaganda?
Well, it really is beginning to seem as if that Obama so politicized the Justice Department, the FBI, along with the IRS, that the advent of Donald Trump, the complete surprise of his winning, caused them all to go scrambling for ways to sort of delegitimize him in order to keep from being exposed for all the things they were doing, including unmasking Americans on phone calls, spying on the opposing campaign, which is just absurdly abusive to have the White House using our law enforcement agencies to spy on an opposition campaign. I mean, that's real banana republic stuff. And it looks like as you say, I'm sure it's the leadership. I'm sure there are like hundreds of great agents out there who just want to bust bad guys. But the leadership had become so politicized and so loyal to Obama that I think they overstepped the line, and now they're trying to get all this stuff on Trump to cover up for it. That's what it looks like. There's still a lot to go, a lot of stuff to go, and it's really strange what's happening. Like Dianne Feinstein releasing the testimony of the guy from Fusion GPS against the wishes of the Republicans on the committee. It's kind of a way of telling other people how not to mistestify, like here's what's been said. Don't cross this. Just study this and then repeat it when you come in to testify. It's just very very shady and it's unpleasant. And as you say, these are organizations that we like to look up to. I mean, I want to be able to turn to the FBI and be proud of our law enforcement organizations. And I think we're really. It's going to take a while to come to terms with what Obama did to our government, which is basically he turned it into Chicago. Because Obama was not a personally corrupt individual, that is, he wasn't doing this for money. He was doing it because this is the way the government runs in Chicago, where he made his bones. You can't really nail him personally, but the way he used the government was just terrible. And the fact is, yesterday some organization named Donald Trump as the greatest threat to press freedom in the world. Name one thing that Donald Trump has done to inhibit the press. Nothing. All he's done is criticize them. Whereas Obama was going after warrants to tap their phones. He was confiscating their records. He was constantly calling and bullying them. There's a difference between illusion and reality. I mean, Donald Trump has been a very constitutional president. He's been a president who has stayed within the bounds of our form of governance, and Obama wasn't, and he really wasn't.
And the Fusion GPS transcript that was released, so the Democrats could claim transparency. There are all kinds of questions that Glenn Simpson, the founder of Fusion GPS, didn't answer, and there are other portions that are redacted.
Who died?
They kept saying
that's
more of a
somebody
show
died.
trial. They're talking about they're making
died
reference
because
to
of the
like some
dossier.
asset that was used to gather the dossier information had died, and so there's a question about releasing this stuff. But the bottom line is this is not this is an effort to show transparency, not to actually be transparent.
That's true, and also, I mean, they've had to pull teeth to get some of this information, both out of the investigative agencies and out of Fusion GPS. They've done everything they could to keep from handing over documents and to keep from telling the truth. And it's just fair questions for the public to want to know what are they hiding and why.
All right, Steve Bannon out at Breitbart, out at XM Sirius Radio. Did you see this coming?
I did. It was such a towering fall that it would have been hard to think that it was going to come this fast. But think of the mistakes, just the political mistakes that Bannon made. I mean, first, he helped lose Alabama for the Republicans, which is an amazing feat of political malfeasance. I mean, Alabama, there were only 17 Democrats in Alabama, and they all turned up because of the bad candidate that Bannon chose against Trump's wishes. So that was an amazing act of, just confirming everything that Mitch McConnell said, that this guy doesn't know what he's doing, that this is like the Tea Party picking candidates who can't get elected. So he really lost all credibility there for competence. That's the first thing. He alienated the Mercers, who were his power base. So now he always had three things. He had the Mercer money, he had Trump's friendship, and he had Breitbart. And he basically used Breitbart to attack, and this Michael Wolff book, to attack Donald Trump. What kind of political incompetence is that? Did he really believe that his power emanated from himself and that Trump was just the face of the Steve Bannon movement? I mean, I think that's what he must have believed, And the other thing about this is I knew Bannon fairly well when he was out here in Hollywood as a movie guy, and we always had a very pleasant relationship. We always got along, but everybody else I know who knows him hates him, especially the people who worked at Breitbart, and they're open about it. I'm not trading any secrets. These are people who go on Twitter all the time, and they are thrilled to see Bannon go. So he alienated everybody, including his power base. And, he found out, he reminds me of Wile E. Coyote, remember from the Roadrunner cartoons? He would run off the cliff, and it would take him a minute before he realized he was standing in midair, and then he would look down and he would drop, And I think that's what happened to Bannon. Bannon thought that all his power emanated from himself, from his insight, from his revolutionary attitudes, from his political acumen. But it turned out, no, he really was a creation of Donald Trump and the Mercers and Breitbart. And once he lost those things, he has nothing. I don't know what happens to him now. I don't know what his second act is.
Maybe he can get a job at the Acme Corporation.
Exactly.
Oprah. Once you wiped away the tears after her speech at the Golden Globes on Sunday night, have you had time to contemplate a President Oprah?
The beauty of the Oprah presidency. I thought the Golden Globes was an amazing, amazing moment because we are now living in two Americas, the real America where real things are happening, and this imaginary America that is taking place almost entirely in the minds of our news media and our entertainment elites. Oprah got up and gave that speech as if it were the 1940s, as if black women were being routinely abused by the white establishment and the government was turning a blind eye, as if a girl just can't get ahead in this evil world, and what an inspiration it would be to everybody to see Oprah win, and Oprah, one of the richest women on earth, and God love her, she did it all herself, but that it was somehow going to be an inspiration to girls because a new day was coming. Now, you look out at real America, where women are doing quite well, actually, thank you very much, and where you're talking to a room full of essentially privileged, wealthy, untouchable women who failed to report the sexual harassment that was going on. I don't even know what they're talking about. They're living in a completely made-up world. Meanwhile, women in Iran are tearing off risking their lives to tear off their, veils, and they're not saying a word about it. And so we're supposed to believe that the poor million-dollar actresses of Hollywood are somehow oppressed, and we're all supposed to be uplifted because it's a brand new day because Harvey Weinstein lost his job. And we're not supposed to pay attention, pay no attention to the real women heroes in our world who are out there risking their lives just to get an education, just to be able to, have the jobs they want and drive a car and have a vote, and all those women are just being completely ignored. Only in Hollywood could a woman who makes $5 million, $10 million a picture feel that she's oppressed because the guy next to her makes $15 million a picture and think that this is a movement that America is going to get behind, So, and as for Oprah, I think it would be hilarious to see Oprah and Donald Trump run against each other for president. But personally, I don't think she'll do it. And I also think she has too much to lose. Whereas Donald Trump has a rough and ready personality. There's almost no mud you can throw at him that would stick. Oprah's reputation is for being a secular saint. So any mud that hits her is going to hit hard and really damage her reputation. I don't think she's going to take that chance. He
is Andrew Klavan, Hollywood screenwriter of such books and films like True Crime. Also the author of The Great Good Thing, a secular Jew comes to faith in Christ. Andrew, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
And
before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.